The year was 1933. Across the United States, people stood in long lines hoping for a loaf of bread or a chance to find work. Dust blew across empty farms, and factories sat silent. Families had lost their homes, their savings, and their hope. A new president, Franklin D. Roosevelt, had just taken office. As he looked out over the crowd at his inauguration, he spoke words that gave the country a new sense of courage. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. From that moment on, Roosevelt began a bold plan to help America recover. It was called the New Deal. The New Deal was a series of programs, laws, and ideas created to fight the Great Depression, the worst economic crisis in American history. Banks had failed. Millions of people had lost their jobs. Farmers could no longer grow crops due to drought and dust storms. Roosevelt knew the country needed action, and fast. In his first 100 days as president, he and Congress passed many laws to bring jobs, restore confidence, and get the economy moving again. One of the first steps was to fix the banking system. When Roosevelt took office, many banks had closed and people had lost their life savings. He declared a bank holiday, closing all banks for several days so they could be inspected. Only the healthy ones reopened. Then the government created the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC. This program promised to protect people's money in the bank. Suddenly, Americans felt safe putting their money back in, and trust began to return. To help people who were out of work, Roosevelt created jobs through public works programs. One of the most famous was the Civilian Conservation Corps, CCC. This program gave young men jobs planting trees, building parks, and protecting natural land. Another was the Works Progress Administration, WPA, which hired people to build roads, bridges, schools, and public buildings. Artists, musicians, and writers were also hired to create murals, plays, and books. The New Deal believed that everyone had a role to play in rebuilding the nation. Farmers got help too. The Dust Bowl had ruined crops and forced families to leave their land. The government paid farmers to plant less so that prices would go up again. They also taught better ways to care for soil. The Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA, brought electricity to poor, rural areas by building dams and power plants. These projects brought jobs and light to homes that had never had it before. The New Deal also helped older Americans. In 1935, the Social Security Act was passed. This program gave money to people who were retired or disabled, and to families who had lost a parent. For the first time, the government promised to help people when they could no longer work. This was a new idea in American history and became one of the most lasting parts of the New Deal. Not everyone liked the New Deal. Some people thought it gave the government too much power. Others thought it didn't go far enough to help the poor. But many Americans supported it because they saw real change happening. New buildings were going up, people were getting jobs again, children had food, towns had electricity, hope was returning. Roosevelt also spoke directly to the people in radio broadcasts called fireside chats. In a warm and calm voice, he explained his plans and gave updates. Families gathered around their radios to listen. They felt like the president was talking just to them. These chats helped people feel calm and confident in a hard time. The New Deal didn't end the Great Depression by itself. It took many years and World War II to fully bring the economy back. But the New Deal gave people help when they needed it most. It also changed how Americans saw the government. Before the New Deal, most people expected to solve problems on their own. After the New Deal, people saw the government as a partner, there to help when times were tough. Many New Deal programs are still with us today. Social Security still helps retired people. The FDIC still protects people's money in banks. Roads, bridges, and schools built during the New Deal are still being used. The New Deal showed what can happen when a country comes together during hard times and tries new ideas with courage and care. The story of the New Deal is a story of action, hope, and teamwork. It was not just about fixing the economy. It was about lifting spirits and rebuilding a nation. During one of the darkest times in American history, the New Deal helped turn fear into faith and struggle into strength.